All right, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to build the best M13 class setup in Warzone. In today's video, we're talking about all the best attachments to use, as well as talking about the barrels and talking about some of the unique stats about each attachment that aren't public info, which you actually have to test to find out. So we're telling you guys which attachments stack best together to give you guys the best overall class setup for the M13. As I said, the recoil pattern of this gun is actually very low, and that's probably what makes it very popular. It does have a few negatives, such as having a low damage up close, but it does have a very good range, and the mobility is pretty average. But the three best attachments in my experience with this gun is the Marksman long barrel, the no stock attachment, and the Commando foregrip, which you guys will see in just a second on why. So the number one barrel to talk about is obviously that Marksman barrel. This gun is very unique, and it has a short barrel, a silent barrel, and it has a Marksman long barrel. The Marksman long barrel, in my experience testing it, has a excellent reduction in recoil, which is why I think it's the best attachment to use on this gun. The recoil negate you get is very, very good, especially for a gun that has a somewhat non-vertical recoil. You do get about a 33% more range, which this range is now equivalent to around that of the Grau and the Kilo, which are the two best range weapons. Very good in range with the Marksman barrel. You get a better recoil pattern, like I said. Your movement speed goes down by about 3%, which is not much, and your aim down sight goes down by about 50 milliseconds, which is about 20% slower, which you're now at 300 milliseconds, which is on the slower end for long barrels. It does have a pretty different, unique set of stats. The hip fire spread, which you guys can see on the screen now, is actually a lot worse compared to some of the other barrels. This does make your hip fire a lot worse. Definitely a pretty big negative. It also does get a slightly worse idle sway, which in my opinion does have a big factor as far as, the overall accuracy. Both of these do affect your overall accuracy, making it a little bit worse, which is going to have a big negative to me. But your strafe speed, which is when you're aimed down sight, strafing left to right, is actually about 2% faster, which this is the only barrel I found which actually improves your strafe speed. That is a long barrel, so definitely an excellent barrel. The Cyclone barrel has one effect on your overall stats, and that is the aim down sight time. Make sure aim down sight time go from about 250 milliseconds to 267. That's the only effect it has. No increase in any of the movement stats, and also no effect on range or recoil in any way. It's a decent barrel at best due to the fact that it has no effect on the gun at all. And then the mini barrel gives you a 2% faster movement speed, 10% faster strafe speed, which is excellent. You also get a 15% faster aim down sight time, so you're now at about SMG level with this. You do get a worse recoil pattern, which you guys can see on the screen now. Definitely not something I'm fond of. You also get 25% less range, which this gun's actually very good for the base range. So to get 25% less, terrible negative. Also getting worse recoil, which is two of the biggest factors that makes this gun good. So to make the gun worse where it's best, definitely 100% recommend avoiding the mini barrel. As far as the grips, which grip is best, I found all three of them to be extremely useful. You guys can see on the screen now the difference between the Commando, the Ranger, and the Merc. For me personally, I've always liked the Commando just due to the fact that the recoil pattern does pull to the right and it's not vertical. It pulls to the side. Therefore, to get the most stable pattern, in order to be able to hit all of your shots instead of missing, I prefer the stability. It's going to give you the best recoil pattern possible. You do get the most kick, and the Commando is going to stack best with attack lasers, give you guys an improved idle sway. As far as the Ranger foregrip, it gives the most non-variance in the recoil pattern. It's pretty straight. Definitely 100% recommend. You do get the slowest strafe speed compared to that of the Merc. Once again, the way to get the best idle sway is to stack with attack laser. As far as the Merc foregrip, this is obviously, you guys know, the newest attachment on the rise. You get the least amount of recoil. As far as vertically, you also get a slight reduction to your strafe speed, which is better than that of the Ranger. And as far as what's best about it, this is very good to stack with that Marksman barrel because it's going to counter that negate you get in the hip fire spread. It's also going to stack with no stock to get improved hip fire. So for me personally, I would rank the Commando as my favorite, but I would say the Merc is number one, the Commando is number two, and the Ranger is probably number three, just due to the fact that it affects your strafe speed very, very much. As far as talking about the unique attachments that are going to build that last fourth or fifth attachment, the stipple grip, the rubberized grip, the no stock, the tack laser, also known with the 300 round blackout rounds, because those are also unique to this weapon. My personal favorite attachments you guys saw in the beginning is no stock. I think the recoil pattern is you obviously get a worse recoil. I think it's definitely best when you stack with the marksman barrel, because marksman barrel gives you an excellent reduction in recoil. The no stock obviously gives you a little bit worse recoil. They stack excellent together. You get about 15% faster aim down sight time with 4% faster movement speed. Me personally, I've almost always used the no stock stacked with the marksman barrel and the commando foregrip, because they kind of basically counter each other out to give you the best mobility and the best range. So I do 100% recommend the no stock as probably the best 5th attachment. The rubberized grip is definitely something that's going to help a lot. It's going to best when stacked with marksman barrel to give you the least amount of recoil possible. You guys seen any class ups on no recoil class? It's with the marksman barrel stacked with the rubberized. One big negative is when you stack these two attachments together, your idle sway is going to be significantly worse because they both have a worse idle sway. Put them together, it's going to be a lot worse. The tack laser is obviously going to give you improved idle sway along with your walking steadiness, which is basically going to help a little bit of your overall accuracy. You do get a 15% faster aim down sight time, which is pretty average. Does help out a lot. This gun, in my experience, is kind of a mid to long range weapon, so the tack laser is definitely an excellent attachment. 100% going to recommend to stack this with that ranger or that commando to give you guys the best idle sway possible, which in my experience the M13 does have a very good idle sway. So if you're on the tack laser with the commando or ranger, your idle sway is going to be non-existent. It's going to be a 100% accurate first shot weapon. As far as the stipple grip, most of you guys know I never really recommend it. The difference on this gun in specific, it only affects your idle sway, which if you stack it with like a rubberized, stack it with something like the marksman barrel, your idle sway is obviously going to go down, which I don't recommend. It has a very minimal effect on your aim down sight time, about 1 frame faster, which you probably won't even notice. And your sprint out is once again only 1 frame faster, which is 7% increase, which, and obviously in the game when you're playing, moving around really fast, you're really not going to notice. As far as the stipple grip, it's going to be best when you stack it with like a mini barrel, which is obviously going to improve your overall SMG style stats of the gun. Also the no stock and also the tack laser to give you guys the best aim down sight time possible. As far as the 300 blackout rounds, one simple thing to talk about, they only come with a 30 round mag, which this gun has the fastest fire rate of all these rifles. So the 30 round mag is obviously an immediate negative, immediate red flag. Fastest shooting gun with no ability to get an extended mags, definitely 100% recommend avoiding. You're obviously going to get a slight increase to your range with about 15%. Obviously you get invisible bullets and obviously no enemy skulls, which only really affects in multiplayer. You do get a decrease to your bullet velocity, which, like I said, this is a medium to long range weapon, which that bullet velocity, in my opinion, plays a huge factor. And the recoil control that you get the loss in is actually pretty significant. I definitely 100% recommend avoiding this. Is definitely not going to help you as far as getting that increase in your damage range. 15% is very minimal. You're better off just going with like a monolith suppressor, which is going to give you that same increase in the overall range. So that's pretty much it. As far as the best class setups, the first one I'm talking about is my favorite to run with the M13, which is going to be the hybrid class. We're going to be using the marksman barrel with the monolith suppressor, 60 round mag for Warzone to get the most ammo possible, using that Merc foregrip. We're going to be stacking with the no stock attachment. That's only going to give you a 3% slower movement speed, 2 frames slower aim down sight time, about 15% slower aim down sight time, which is very minimal. But you do get a pretty good movement speed, a pretty good recoil pattern, so it's definitely a very good class setup. For the no recoil class, we're using the marksman barrel stacked with the rubberized grip and the Merc foregrip to give you the least amount of recoil possible. As far as the last two, we're using the 60 round mag and the monolith suppressor. The one difference on this class setup is if you are not fond of the iron sights of the M13, you can swap that rubberized grip out for any kind of optics, such as the holographic, the VLK 3.0, or the red dot. Most of you guys probably see the most popular class setup going now is putting the M13 with a red dot to give you guys the best recoil accuracy class setup possible. If you're going for the best mobility, you don't want to put that monolith suppressor stacked with like that marksman, which gives you a big negative in aim down sight time. You can put that cyclone barrel on there, stack it with the Merc foregrip, the 50 round mag. Obviously, 50 round mag gives you a little bit faster wind speed. Stacked once again with no stock. Stack it with that stipple grip on there. It's going to improve your aim down sight time and your sprint out, which is basically going to give you guys SMG style class setup. You're going to get 3% faster movement, which is excellent. So you're at 97%, which is SMG level. Your aim down sight time is going to be about 1 frame faster, which is a somewhat good improvement compared to the other class setup. Is definitely very good in aim. So basically you're going to be the best rushing class setup for you guys. So that's pretty much it for today's video. The only attachments I really 100% recommend avoiding is the blackout rounds, the stipple grip, and the mini barrel, which basically does nothing good for the gun. Obviously, you guys know those are the best class setups to recommend. If you guys learn anything new, if this video does help you guys make a better M13 class, you guys want to leave a like. I very much appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys haven't subscribed, leave a comment down below what gun you guys want me to upload next, doing a full in-depth breakdown of the class setups for. Make sure you guys use code Trapgod on all of your scuff and GFUEL purchases. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.